It's Dawn, and you're watching Growing Up Chaotic, the channel where I candidly share with you how I survived growing up in an alcoholic, drug-addicted, mentally, emotionally, and physically abusive family. If I can survive and thrive after all of that, I have no doubt that you can too. In today's video, I shine light on mental abuse, its effects, and the importance of sharing your story. So what's the textbook definition of mental abuse, and what does it look like in real life? Well, technically, mental abuse is an imbalance of power. It's any repetitive or sustained inappropriate behaviors that put another person's mental, emotional, psychological well-being at risk. What does it look like in real life? Well, when I think of the most psychologically damaging person in my life, my stepmother immediately comes to mind. She's the type of person that will steal your wallet right out from underneath your nose. When you confront her about it, she'll convince you that you actually lost it, and then she'll punish you for losing it. Classic sociopath, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type personality, okay? She is notorious, really good at doing all of her dirty work behind closed doors, but out to the public, she's a complete and total different person. Just a couple examples here that I can think of. When I was my first year of college, she started having an affair with a man that she met on the internet. And when my father finally got up the courage to confront her about it, she denied it and instead turned around and blamed me for it, saying that I set her up. She would do the most twisted and disgusting things, and even this, although my promise is to always share candidly with you, is kind of difficult to talk about because it's embarrassing. But she would try to force me to wear her friend's daughter's dirty underwear. I kid you not. I mean, talk about demoralizing and degrading. When I would refuse to do so, she would punish me. So I would then go to my father, who I thought, once I told him what was going on, he would step in and do something about it. But when confronted again, she would just deny that she ever said or did anything like that. And finally, for a very long time, I felt terrorized by her. I don't feel this way that strongly anymore, but I can remember having a conversation with my dad where I told him that I was always afraid that one day I'd be walking down the street and she'd walk up behind me, point a gun to my head, and blow my brains out. I mean, I know that is really graphic and very scary, but it's the truth. And you know what my dad said in response to that? He said, "You know what? You're probably right." I mean, how fucked up is that? It's absolutely crazy. Now, when I was old enough to take care of myself, I moved out of the house. I completely cut off contact with my stepmother because I knew that if I wanted to be healthy, if I wanted to be of healthy mind, I needed to get away from that. But even though I removed myself physically, I still feel the effects of that mental abuse. It lingers. There's echoes of it. It's not as bad as it used to be, but it's still there. And I was actually reading an article in Psychology Today, which is a really great resource if you want to read more about mental abuse. The title of the article is Effects of a Mental Abuse, It Hurts When I Love. And again, that's from Psychology Today. And in the article, they talk about the effects. So I'm quoting directly from the article here. In an emotionally abusive relationship, one party systematically controls the other by, number one, undermining his or her confidence, worthiness, growth, and trust. So for example, another thing that my stepmother loved to do is that whenever I would get in trouble, she would compare me to someone in my life at the time that I guess she felt was better than me. So for example, I had this friend growing up that was, you always have that person that you grew up with that's like excellent at sports, they get good grades in school, they're attractive. So whenever I would get in trouble, she would say things to me like, "Well, I wish that I had a daughter like so-and-so." Or she'd say, "I wish that you were more like so-and-so." Completely destroying my confidence and any sense of worth that I had. Number two, gaslighting, which is a term that I recently became familiar with. but it's making him or her, meaning the victim, feel crazy or unstable. And this is the thing that I've struggled with the most in my adult life, is being able to trust myself. Because one of the things that a person who dishes out abuse will do is they will deny it when you confront them about it. And what happens over a long period of time, you start to doubt yourself, because you're saying, you know, you did these things, you said this thing, you tried to get me to wear so-and-so's daughter's nasty ass underwear, and they deny it. You start to feel crazy, start to doubt yourself. It's an awful place to be. And the third is manipulating him or her, the victim, with fear or shame. Obviously, if I'm walking around thinking that she's going to show up and blow out my brains, I have some really strong fears towards her. Like I said, I don't feel that way anymore, but at one time it was a really big problem for me. And of course, shame, I mean, it's very embarrassing and shameful to admit that, again, she tried to get me to wear her friend's daughter's nasty ass underwear. You feel ashamed for being yourself after constantly being compared to other people that she wished I was more like, or that she wishes that that person was her daughter. I believe wholeheartedly in the power of sharing your story. I know for myself that as a result of opening up about these things, I've been able to release a lot of the pain associated with these events. And I've also been able to gain a better understanding of how these things affect me and drive my behavior today. The difference is, today, I can do something about those behaviors. I can do everything that I need to do to protect myself, to make my life better. That's why I am on this mission. I am on a mission to start this dialogue between survivors, because the most important part of this conversation is your story. It's the hardest story to tell, but it's the most important. Once you start opening up, once you start sharing, once you start seeing that there's other people out there that can relate to you, it opens up a whole new world of possibilities for you, and healing and growth. The benefits that you have to reap are absolutely endless. And again, obviously this idea of abuse is something that I'm extremely passionate about. And I just have to say again, to close out this video, that abuse of any kind, to any person, woman, child, man, to any animal, is absolutely, positively unacceptable. There is strength in numbers, and the more that we open up and expose these things and talk about them, the less we will tolerate when it comes to abuse. So I would love to hear your comments below in the comments section. Again, this is a really important topic, so if this is something that you've struggled with, something that you are currently comfortable talking about, I would love to hear from you. And of course, if you have a friend, you know someone that could benefit from this video, from the things that we've talked about today, please share it with them. You can also follow me on Twitter at Growing Up Chaotic, and you can also visit the Growing Up Chaotic blog, where you can get additional inspiration and insight at growingupchaotic.wordpress.com. That's all that I have for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.